Well, hello, internet friends near and far. Welcome to another episode of Parks and Conversation. This is a podcast where we just take some time to watch an episode of Parks and Rec, and then we talk about it. And it doesn't have to be more complicated than that, but I'm sure we will find a way. And by we, I'm talking about myself, Jason, and I'm joined all the way across town by my friend Jeremy. Say hello, Jeremy.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, man, it is definitely a day that we will remember forever as, I don't know. It's fine. How are you?
Having had happened.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready. I'm ready to get into the fight. So anytime,
Perfect.
whenever you want to start fighting, let's do it.
All right. Well, let me tell you what I think about this episode.
You're wrong.
It is season 3, episode 13, titled The Fight.
Mm-hmm.
And the basic premise is that Leslie has an opportunity for Anne to take a job at the city hall and is not super interested in that. And they come to conflict as they enjoy a new drink experiment that Tom Haverford has created and is promoting at the Snake Hole Lounge. The drink is called Snake Juice. And so this is an episode that is full of funny things, which is good for a comedy.
It is. Yeah. Nailed it.
It just right off the bat at IMDb, it's rated 8.9. 8.9. That is way up there.
That is up there.
It's got a little bit of everything. It's got full cast involvement. It's got Jean Ralphio. We've got Crazy Ira and the Douche. And we have a lot of talking heads to the camera for the documentary style. Tom's business ideas, so many things. As I was watching this episode, my notes were terrible because it just kept coming so fast. I didn't have time to write down that's a funny joke. I just said, most of my notes are Tom's business ideas. So, I really hope that listener, that you've actually watched this episode, that you are not coming to us for the play-by-play.
Transcript, right? Yeah.
Because we don't have that. And that's probably illegal to do that. Realistically, we may be flirting with the lines of legality anyway, which is my my hip hop album.
Because you're hardcore like that.
Yeah. I'm tough. I'm streetwise.
Some of my notes definitely just are one line, one word, Kahlua, snake juice, buy it. It's just because it just happened. Yeah, you're right. There's so many jokes so fast.
And the whole premise is so bizarre too, what Tom is trying to do. So let's start at the beginning, and then we'll just work through what we have for our notes, and people are just gonna have to be okay with that. Okay, listener, if we missed anything, please send us an email to parksandconversation@gmail.com. And I totally forgot this morning to check to see if we had any new dispatches from our email machine. So I'm going to just real quick, I'm going to make this happen. I'm opening up my email device here, and I'm switching to that. And then this is behind the scenes. I have no new email, but Google is asking to help strengthen the security of our Google account. So I'll get to that later. Thanks, Google. So this episode starts with the Parks Department team standing in the lobby area of their department, and the coffee brewer is sitting on the table. And Ron says, "I don't care who did it, but somebody just tell me who broke it. Who broke the coffee pot?" And immediately, it seems that they all turn on each other, except for Leslie. Leslie's like, "I broke it. Let me fix it." And Ron's like, "No, you didn't. I know you didn't." And so then Jerry turns on April. Ben turns on Donna. Everybody's turning on each other, only to be revealed that Ron broke it because it burned his hand, and so he punched it. And because Ron is not messing around. And then he used this broken coffee pot to stir up some conflict in the office because as Ron says, it was getting a little chummy around here. So that's one leadership technique. I wouldn't advise it.
Yeah, I like how the fight, while this has nothing to do with the episode, starts with a fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they really are setting the tone. This is the conflict episode, and how you handle conflict determines how you handle so much in your life. And so today, on a very special Parks and Recreation, we're going to talk about conflict management.
I don't want to.
Okay, we don't have to. I did have one other note here.
Good.
I had one more note on this cold
Sorry,
open.
I didn't even want to tell you that I didn't want to talk about it.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad that this is coming out.
Yeah, what was your other note?
That just, why is Ben here? Ben is
man.
Ron's boss.
I am excited. I'm excited for this because of that. Why is so and so here? And that finally we get some answers / or at least reasons for the future.
For why Ben's around?
No, somebody else. We'll get there. I'm just excited. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ben acts afraid of Ron, but Ben is Ron's boss. Like he doesn't have to come to these meetings. There's no way Ben broke the thing. So like, why is he here? Again, I mean, he likes Leslie, so it makes sense that he wants to be around Leslie.
Yeah.
But come on, Ben, have some dignity, which he'll display later. So after the credits happen, Tom is back in the office. Tom is inviting the department to come to the Snake Hole Lounge for the launch of his new drink, snake juice, to which April says, that sounds like you twisted a snake like a rag and got all the liquid out of it, which is accurate. It's so gross. I listened to a podcast the other day about anti-venom. It was on 99% Invisible, listener, if you want to go look it up. But how they make anti-venom, and they call it...
Is that for people who don't believe in venom?
Yeah, anti-venomers. They just say like, yeah, you can't get venom through surfaces.
If that snake doesn't kill me, it won't kill anybody.
If the president can survive, then why should we be afraid of it?
That's right. Anti-venom.
Anti-venom. And but they it's really hard to actually make anti-venom because you have to actually infect something with the venom, and then the body of that infected creature, they are able to get antibodies from. So it's kind of like a vaccine. You're using antibodies to fight the infection, right? And so to get anti-venom, they actually inject small amounts of venom into horses.
So they're making snake horses?
No, it's not horses with snake powers.
Oh.
It's the horse's immune system, whatever, generating is very similar to the human body reaction. Okay. And so they use the horse blood with the antibodies in it to then create doses of anti-venom based on the different varieties of snakes that they know are venomous. And so they might be able to make a compilation of all the best anti-venoms into one dose of anti-venom that they would give to somebody who has a snake bite, and hoping that they would be able to counteract multi varieties of whatever snake might have bit that person. It was so interesting. And so listening to that, and then listening to Snake Juice and Tom's pitch for a Kahlua style alcohol, it was still just I don't want that anyway. I don't know how many horses he tested this on. So, which is maybe why he didn't know how drunk people would get.
That's true. Yeah.
Because horses are big and strong. Anyway, I just thought that was super interesting. So, listener, anything you're interested in, send us an email to parksandconversation@gmail.com. So Tom is going to ask all the parks people to come to a meeting to learn about guerrilla marketing as they're promoting this at the Snake Hole Lounge. And he says, if you don't come, you're on my dunzo list. And Ben's like, what's a dunzo list? And basically, if you don't do this, you and I are dunzo. You want to come play video games at my house? Dunzo. And he lists all these things that they could do. And he's like, no, dunzo. And Andy is very like concerned. Like, babe, talking to April, babe, we gotta go to that meeting. He doesn't want to get on the dunzo list. So then Anne and Leslie are in the hallway and they're catching up. They've been so busy, which, friends, you make time where you can make time, right? And so they're talking about Anne's relationships and how she's been dating a lot of people and they broke up. And Leslie's kind of bummed because she loaned a book to one of her boyfriends and Anne told her that she's out of the country. So like she can't get it back. And it's like, wow, Anne is very weird in a lot of ways here, but she also is just a liar. Like, just break up with somebody. Don't say I'm out of the country. Come on, Anne. And so, yeah, so they're trying to catch up and Leslie's like, I wish we could hang out more. And then Ben comes along and is like, I'll race you to the next meeting. And then they race off to the next meeting, just leaving Anne completely alone. Leslie also runs into Councilman Hauser, which like that job for Councilman Hauser, I don't know how much he got paid, but for most of his appearances, he really just like walks into a room and leaves. Like, great gig, Councilman Hauser. Good job.
Yeah,
you have a good agent.
Just get hit by Leslie Knope every once in a while.
Yeah, just be bumped into.
Yeah.
So am I missing anything so far? There's still, I mean, we're not to the funniest stuff yet, but I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything from your amazing notes.
Well, mine is, I think Donna says she's on a cleanse. I think that's what that said from Tom's.
Yes.
Tom. So it's just only because it kind of comes in later.
Yeah, it is important.
And nobody really wants to do Tom's like thing. He's like, I don't care if you drink it, just get people to buy it. So that's like at the very least, he wants people just to at least talk about it. So that's, yeah.
Right.
That's what I got.
Okay, great. So yeah, so he's going to teach the people now how to do the guerrilla marketing necessary to spread the word at Snake Hole Lounge. And the main point is that the buzzwords are high-end, VIP, lifestyle. And so he has some role playing. And so he's like, Andy, you're going to play a boring beer drinker. April, and he gives him a name. April, you're going to play a boring beer drinker, gives her a name. And Jerry, you're going to play a boring beer drinker. Your name is Jerry. And Jerry's fine with that. And he's like, Ron, you're going to be the one who's going to really be excited about our new drink, Snake Juice. And so he's got a script for them about all of this.
And he gets to be Brian Thunder.
Brian Thunder, yes. So exciting name, exciting drink. Everybody else is boring. And so Ron is really hesitant, though, to do this because he won't publicly endorse a project unless he uses it exclusively. Like Army regulation, mustache trimmers, Morton salt, and then a very specific kind of knife that came too fast. I could not write it down. And so Ron is, a man of principle. And so he's reading this script and, it's written the way Tom would write a script. They're all saying like, I'm boring. I'm going to get a drink and a beer. And Andy's like, I'm pretty boring too. I will also have a beer. And then Ron's script is like, I want to get crazy. And crazy is how he says it first. And Tom's like, no, it's crazy. And Ron is like, not having any of this. So it's just all so upsetting to Ron. You can tell inside of him, like, I'm not selling myself out for this nonsense. So the media's going great. So good. Guerrilla marketing. Let's do this, Tom. You're set. You're ready to go. But then it cuts to another meeting that Ben and Leslie had to go to with Chris. And they are meeting to discuss the future of the Pawnee Health Department because the PR director for Pawnee Health went cuckoo bananas. And his wife, Dennis Cooper, his wife cheated on him and gave him chlamydia. And so he is the PR director, and his job is to get the word out for health problems. And so he made a whole bunch of signs talking about how chlamydia infects 100% of Jan Coopers. And, like it's really upsetting all the stuff that he says about Jan Cooper and chlamydia. And then like he even goes, we really go on a journey here because he's like, one of his signs is like, Jan, I know I'm not completely without blame here. Please come back. And Chris is reading them and he's like, he reads that one. He's like, brought to you by the Pawnee Health Department. He's like, had a tear in his eye. It's like, look, this is great. And then the next sign is Horville population, Jan Cooper. So, Dennis Cooper, he really is going on this journey here and they have to fix it. And Leslie immediately wants Anne to apply for the job. And so she's like, I got a perfect idea, perfect candidate. And Leslie sees this as a way to be able to spend more time with Anne and also give Anne an opportunity to have, an office job and normal hours. And, something that Leslie thinks is important is to not have to pull weird things out of people's butts as a nurse.
Just one time.
Which is still too many times. So Leslie runs over to the hospital and tells Anne about this great opportunity, gives her all the binders that she needs to memorize, and for the interview that is the next day. And also Jonathan Franzen's book, Freedom, which Leslie really wants Anne to read so they can talk about one of the characters in there. So Anne is like, kind of like, okay, well, we'll see, maybe. But Leslie is just convinced that she has won her over. So
yeah, and she even says in this part, it's like you can finally do something that's meaningful with your life. Like you can really impact people's lives. And I was kind of disappointed that Anne didn't stand up for herself and say, I do that every day as a nurse. So that was my only gripe with that whole situation. It's like that should have started the fight right there, I felt, because that's a pretty sensitive topic. If you tell a nurse, like, why don't you do something meaningful with your life? It's like, whoa, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah, it is. But Leslie is her other concern is that she doesn't want Anne to become jaded. And she's like, you don't want to become like that lady who is a nurse who takes wheeling a guy out in a wheelchair and like bumps his leg. It's like, that hurts. It's like, stop whining. So she's in a way, she's trying to look out for Anne, but it's still very self-serving on Leslie's end. Like, I want you to be closer to me, and do things the way I want you to do them, which is Leslie's great problem, is that she tries to steamroll everybody to do the things that she wants them to do.
Yeah.
So Andy and April are going over the script and talking about going to the Snake Hole Lounge, and April is not really into it. And Andy's like, well, we should role play so that like we stay excited about it. And April's like, all right, when you see me next, I will be a stranger. And Andy's pretty excited about this whole situation. And we should all be very excited too, because this is some great stuff that's about to happen between April and Andy. So at the Snake Hole Lounge, things are getting going, and Leslie comes in like high-end VIP experience. And so she is, doing her best, or lifestyle, not experience. She's doing her best to do the guerrilla marketing stuff. And she runs into Tom and Jean-Ralphio. And Jean-Ralphio is terrible at rapping. It is one of the most important things here. Last week when I was looking at IMDb, I saw there were quotes here that were including Jean-Ralphio's rapping, and they are gone from IMDb. So I didn't write them down. But the problem with Jean-Ralphio's rapping is he doesn't end on the rhyme.
The first one, K to the N to the OPE. She's the dopest little shorty in all of Pawnee, Indiana. So you wrote them all down? No, I showed the clip to my kids once, and they now just say it randomly all the time.
Okay, perfect. Well, then we'll just go back to that every time we refer to the other ones.
All right. Okay, perfect. That's the only one I know.
Foolproof. So Leslie then is like, Tom, I can't stay. I'm going to go help Anne because needs to get ready for the interview that she has tomorrow. And Tom's like, I don't think she's gonna too worried about it because she's right over there. And you see Anne there dancing with Howard Tuttleman, aka the douche from Crazy Ira and the douche. And so Leslie is not happy about this. We then cut to Andy, who has combed his hair and is wearing an FBI windbreaker. And we are introduced to him as Burt Macklin, who was the best agent on the force until he got fired for stealing the president's rubies.
A crime that he didn't commit.
I think that is one of the dumbest things, but it's also one of the funniest things. Like the president's rubies.
You don't know. You don't know.
What president had like presidential rubies?
We don't know. That's why the FBI was involved.
I know. But like, yeah, so he got fired. And then we also meet April, who is dressed up with like a pillbox hat and like a veil, like kind of like a 20s flapper kind of dance with a long, like one of those cigarettes in the Cruella de Vil cigarette holders. And she's Janet Snakehole, daughter of the Snakehole founders, I guess. So they meet, and she slaps him in the face. It's very funny. It's all great. This whole interchange, like, crazy stuff is going to happen there. Ron comes into Snakehole Lounge, and John Ralphio says, "Ron, how you living?" Ron's response, "Yes." Yes. And so, Tom's like, "Hey, why aren't you having any of this, of snake juice?" And he's like, "I'm really more of a whiskey guy." And John Ralphio's like, Tom has the best ideas. And then is the talking head of all of Tom's ideas. And one of which, my favorite, is Eclipse, which is a club that is only open twice a year for an hour, cover charge $4,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tom, that's going to go great.
I was watching this one with my daughter and my younger daughter, and this part was on, and she's like, when he says contact lenses for text messages, she's like, that is a really good idea. So he's got the 9-year-old vote.
Yeah, it's a really good idea, unless you are, trying to do anything where you need to see.
Sure.
Because if your whole field of vision becomes a text message, that can't be good. So anyway, Tom and his ideas. So then Ron's like, listen, Tom says, let's try it. If you don't like it, I'll shave John Ralphio's head. And Ron's response is like, I'd like to see that. So he tries the snake juice, and he is like, this is actually really good. And so now Ron is going to be an evangelist for snake juice. And so he's going to carry that out. So then Anne and Leslie are talking, and they are, talking in a upset manner, because Leslie is like, why aren't you taking the opportunity that I'm putting in front of you? Which again is not something Anne asked for, but it is being forced upon her. So they're fighting, and the douche is right there fighting with each other. At one point, their fight is talking about all the different boyfriends Anne's having in this season, and Leslie says, "How long is it going to last with this guy?" And pointing at the douche, and he's like, "Right here." And he's like, "Yeah, he's dumb, but he's fun." He's like, "Thank you." So like they're definitely the tension is escalating between them. And the only thing that's really going to help this tension, I think, is more alcohol.
Sure. Especially snake juice.
Yeah, it's going to be important. So then Ron is going and spreading the word, and he comes up to a couple who seem to be just minding their own business at the Snakehole Lounge. And Ron says, "Son, you need to buy a bottle of this snake juice. It is the best." And the guy's like, "Okay, thanks." He's like, "No, you need to buy this now." So he's, spreading the word forcefully. And then Chris,
I love how indignant he gets, is like, as far as like the fact that this person's just going to pass it up. He's like, "No, my recommendation means something." Like, right. If I say it's good, you better listen.
I mean, how is Ron not a more known quantity in Pawnee? Like, he means business.
That's right.
He's not just going to put his name on meaningless things. So, but the young. they don't know what they're talking about. So he's like, okay, cool. Chris shows up. And he's like, hey, Tom's like, hey, you got my email? I was like, yeah, you sent it through your work computer. And he tells Tom basically that he broke like all of the ethics rules. Because government employees are not supposed to make themselves rich off of because of the nature of their position. And so he's going to have to sell his shares in the Snake Hole Lounge.
Wow. I learned something today. That's crazy. You can't. Huh.
Who would have known?
I didn't.
That Pawnee, Indiana, a fictional town, would teach us so much about what we need to know about our own country's ethics.
Wow.
And government positions. Who would have known? Who, indeed. But there's always hope, right? Just tell me there's hope, Jeremy.
There's I'd like to think that there's hope. I like that he's like, Chris, just try this. And he says, an ounce of that would literally kill me.
Right. So that's important because we have now at the Snake Hole Lounge at least 2 people who are sober, Chris and Donna, which is important. So then cut back to the fight between Anne and Leslie, and they're talking about feelings, and like Leslie's comeback is like, I don't remember you having a nursing degree in feelings, which is a savage burn. But that was enough for Anne to just be like, I'm done with this. And so it's like, Howard, come dance with me. And so they go off dancing. And then Ben tries to intervene. He's like, I heard yelling. Are you guys okay? And Leslie's like, you just need to go get me more snork juice. And I was like, no, that's not a good idea for you. And then she just grabs Jean-Ralphio and they start dancing. And so Ben is pretty bummed about this. At one point, Andy comes and is like, hey, how's it going with you two? He's like, I don't know. It's weird. And Andy's like, well, you should role play. That's what April and I are doing. And Ben's response is like, that explains the jacket.
What I like too, how he's like, you should play like a government, you should play someone who is in a forbidden relationship. He's like, that's literally our situation.
Yeah. But he does add that she's addicted to spanking.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not their situation.
It's the twist. No. And he's like, and Ben's like, oh, okay, that's enough now.
Yeah. And so it cuts back to Leslie and Anne. They're fighting in the hallway by the bathroom. Then they're fighting in the bathroom. And then they also have a dance off in all of their fighting. While this is all going on, Chris and Donna are sober and talking about how the pre-broth stage of the cleanse is so awesome because they're fully alert. And Donna's like, what is in snake juice? These fools are going crazy. And then it cuts to the talking heads of all the people in the Parks Department. Andy is singing a song and it's about farts and poops and going to the bathroom.
He says, turn the music down.
Right. So he's doing great. April is just like speaking Spanish, like really fast. Ron starts dancing with April's hat, and it's one of the best gifs on all of the internet is just that moment with Ron dancing. Jerry stares at the camera and just starts laughing. It's all so funny. And all of those were improvised by the actors. They're just like, be drunk here. And so they did that. And then they load everybody up in Donna's car because she's sober. She's the designated driver. And she's like, everybody's in here. Anne took a cab. And then Jerry's tied to the roof. And if anybody throws up in my car, I'm going to kill you, basically. And as they're driving away, you hear Jean-Ralphio say, I'm so alone. I'm so alone. And on the top of the car is Jerry with all the tie downs, and he's missing a shoe and sock. It's like, what happened to Jerry?
Donna says, so where to first? And Leslie goes, your mom's butt.
Yeah, and everybody loves it.
Do you want a really awesome puking story for this part?
Yes, please.
No puking in the car story. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I have one too. So.
Oh, sweet. Okay. I'll try to be relatively quick with it. So, a friend of mine was turning 21, I was still
Yes.
20, so I could not go into the drinking area, the bar area. So I was hanging out, and so I picked up a friend of his. They played pool. It was kind of lame for me, but whatever. It was my present to him. And so he proceeded to just drink a lot. And his friend kept buying him drinks. And at one point, I got really bored, and I went out to my car to sit and listen to the radio or do something, because this is pre-phone. I didn't have anything to do. I'm just sitting there, and the waitress comes out and says, "You can't leave him here." I was like, "Oh, I wasn't leaving him here." So I went back inside, and he had basically passed out, like laying on the table, like sideways, like leaning over sideways, 90 degrees. And so we're like, okay, it's time to wrap this up. Let's go. So his friend gets in the back of the car. Now this is my Civic that this is one of my first cars that I bought, and it was only, I think, 6 months old. And so his friend gets in the back, and my buddy's in the passenger seat. And the fastest way back to his friend's car was to take I-5, take the freeway. And so I said, "Hey, listen, if you're going to throw up, let me know and we'll pull over." He's like, "Oh, I'm good. Just roll the window down." So roll the window down, and we're on I-5, and I'm thinking he's like basically asleep, passed out at this point. And all of a sudden he kind of like sits up a little bit and starts to like kind of do the whole, swallow really hard, and starts to kind of pseudo hiccup, and then just starts puking out the window. And we're going 60 miles an hour, 65 miles an hour down the freeway, and he's just throwing up. And I'm just like, there's nothing I can do at this point. I'm just trying to get him to his place and to his friend's car. And then his friend from the back goes, "Hey man, can you roll up the window? It's raining outside." The puke had gone out the window and come back in, and it was just spraying his friend in the face. And he was so drunk that like he just thought it was, it's rain. That's what it is.
So gross.
So anyway, I mean that's the worst part of it. But that was the funniest part. The worst part was I finally got everybody home, got him inside, and his friend, him and his mom basically woke up early to like clean the car out, and they did a decent job, but it just smelled so bad, and they had the windows rolled down. And so this is in the winter time, and I'm driving off. I'm like, it is cold in here, and I went to roll up the window, and it's just smeared with the puke that had fallen down inside the window.
That is terrible.
It's very the car never smelled the same after that.
No, I would imagine. Oh my gosh, that's so gross. All right, I hope everybody ate before I tell this next story, because vomit stories are great. I love them, but I also know that they're gross. So I know this. Save your emails. I have 2 kids. One of my, and this is not they were drunk story, because that should be noted.
That's good.
One of my kids was very sick, and I got a call saying, "You need to pick up this child from school. They threw up." I was like, "Oh, bummer." Okay. So I went to pick them up. I'm being as vague as I can.
Sure.
Because it's only a 50-50 chance that people will guess. So I picked the kid up, and we're driving home. And as we're driving, I have a Honda Element, and the Element is one of my favorite cars ever. The challenge, though, is the seat height and the door to window height. There's a vast gap there. Like the door to window is actually pretty high from where the seat sits. And my child, was in 4th grade, so they were not very large at the time. And we're driving home from school, and they were just getting more sick. I don't know if moving was making it worse. Mm-hmm. They were coming up to like a place where I could turn off and like, throw up out the side of the door or something, like just like not in my car, please. But we did not make it in time, and they threw up. They tried to roll the window down, and then they threw up like at the top of the door, down on the inside of the door. And then
an attempt was made.
An attempt was definitely made. And then we finally were able to stop and then open the door and go outside and throw up some more in a bush that no longer exists at that 7-Eleven. That bush is gone.
Because of the throw up?
I don't know, but I can't rule it out. I mean, correlation doesn't mean causation, but I mean, one happened and then the other happened. Mm-hmm, so, So we're at a 7-Eleven. My kid is covered in barf. My car is covered in barf, and I have nothing to clean it up. So I go in, I'm like, can I have some napkins? And they're like, yeah, they're right over here. Like, I need like a lot of napkins. So I clean up as best I can my car with 7-Eleven napkins outside. My kid is covered in barf, and my roll up the window as we're driving home, and barf had gone inside the door handle.
Yes.
Or inside the door, and like rolling up, like more barf is just coming up the window. I was like, oh, child, you are lucky I love you. Because it was real gross. And then like took them home, put them to bed, and like just said like, okay, don't move without a bowl. Hold the bowl close to your heart. And then I spent the rest of the afternoon cleaning out my car. That's how I spent that Wednesday. It was really gross. It was awful. So whenever
is your barf bowl the same bowl as your popcorn bowl?
Or my macaroni salad bowl. Yeah. All the same.
Okay.
It's actually in our room right now because several months ago I got really sick and I grabbed that bowl and I was like, I'm going to keep this close, and it's never left the room. It's still
what
there.
color is it?
You really want to know which one it is?
Yeah.
Just because you come to my house and you leave out of this bowl, so you really want to know.
I don't know. Maybe I don't now.
I'm trying to protect you.
I'll just side eye every single large bowl you have now.
Can I get that in a smaller dish?
You know what?
Can you prepare it in a different way?
I'm just gonna start bringing my own bowl. This is my travel.
Yeah, it's
less dishes for me.
Yeah, please. That is, barf is gross. Everybody does it, but also like the best part of throwing up is like that 20 seconds after you throw up, where you're just like, oh, fine, I'm going to live.
Yeah.
And then after about 20 seconds, it all like you still feel terrible. And you're like, oh, I think I'm going to die again. So all these people in Pawnee, they are going on an up and down with this feeling of being hungover the next day. Ben and Leslie have to go meet with go interview people for the PR director for the health department. And they're looking terrible, feeling terrible. And Ron comes in whistling, and he's brought in burgers and fries to help everybody cure their hangovers. The protein soaks up the sugar is what Ron says. And he's whistling and he's singing a song about taking the cow to the killing floor. And Leslie just feels sad. Cuts over to the shoe stand, and Andy is shining Kyle's shoes, and Kyle's like, and then the doctor says it probably wasn't serious. And he just responds is like, Kyle, shut up. And April comes trying to cheer Andy up as Janet Snakehole, and like on the subtitles, a large part of it is playful gibberish. So and Andy's response is like, babe, I love you, but Burt Macklin died last night. And April feels bad, and like she starts walking away, and Andy's like, you thought you could get away, Janet Snakehole? Well, I'm Burt Macklin's brother, Kip Hackman. To which Kyle says, why don't you have the same last name? He's like, shut up, Kyle. And he's like, you're never going to get away. I know you boosted those paintings. And so Janet, April leaves, and Andy's like, he's playing along. He's like a golden retriever. He's like, I just want everybody to be happy. And so, his wife is happy. And then he starts to sit back down, and he throws up like directly on Kyle's pants, which is so great. Oh man, it is such a good throw up too. Like the way it's all timed, like he's sitting down and then like all over his pants. It's so good. Ron heard about Tom talking to John Ralphio saying like, I got to sell my stuff. Chris told me I can't have this. And Donna is buying out Tom's shares of the Snakehole Lounge. And he's like, why didn't you know? He's like, why didn't you get fired? He's like, because I didn't tell anybody. I'm an owner. And she looks at John Ralphio and is like, and snitches get stitches. And John Ralphio is so afraid of Donna.
Like,
okay.
Yeah. John Ralphio, for all his swagger, does not have a spine.
No, especially to strong women.
That's right.
So,
and I love too how like this was supposed to be Tom's stepping stone. Like I thought this was going to lead to something else. That's why I thought I got into politics. This was like Vin Diesel's Triple X, which led to, and they both say Fast and the Furious.
right. Oh man. Yeah.
It cracks me up.
Yeah, they're like looking at all of the baller life as one step into the next step of greater ballerness.
That's right.
And so Ron, to be big ballers. And so Ben goes to talk to Anne about Leslie, and Anne is like, that was so high school. We were fighting over stupid stuff. And he's like, listen, Leslie likes you. And if she's sad today. And so she really wants you to, I just want you to know, like, she feels bad. And it's like, oh, I can see why she likes you. And Ben's like, oh, she likes me. And I love Anne's response, like, oh, so high school. Just rent a limo and ask her to the prom. So then Ron goes and talks to Chris about Tom. And he's like, look, he's too dumb to try to manipulate the system.
Which once again is such a great parallel to half of the things that happen in our government, where I just feel like these people aren't really masterminds. They're just idiots.
They're just too dumb.
Yeah. There's no 4D chess happening. Sorry to break it to you.
Yeah. They're just dumb. And so Chris is like, my hand's tied. Like, I can't do anything about this. Like, this is what we have to do. So part of Ron's being upset is like, here's a guy who's trying to get out of the government.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep him here. Like, we're going to make it so he can't leave, like, to chase his dream, to like get off of like the government payroll. Like, that's personally upsetting to Ron. But yeah, Chris is right about the ethics here. This is wrong. And like, you got to do something about it. And then Dennis Cooper is being interviewed. He's like, for his job, and he's like, we can't give you your job back, right? He's like, well, I just thought I'd try, but you sound just like Jan. And then Anne comes in as the next candidate to be interviewed, with her sweater on backwards and inside out. It's like, it's been a really rough morning. And Leslie make up. Leslie's like, our committee just wonders if you would be able to forgive a committee who was being a real jerk. And she's like, this candidate could do that. And then like, but first I need to go throw up in a waste paper basket. And Leslie's like, I will join you. So they go and they throw up together, which is, friendship. And then Anne had a second interview with Chris, got the job, ends up going to be part-time at City Hall, part-time at the hospital, the worst of both worlds. And Ron makes Tom a nice little box to hold a bottle of snake juice. Like, I see what you did here, Tom. Good job. Like, a salute to Tom.
Even though this didn't work out, like, even though this wasn't like, this was a milestone, like, you did something and it was successful. Like, you sold, because we kind of skipped over that part. Like, the other owner of the snake hole, the majority owner guy, said like, you better sell, because I'm not taking a loss on this, so you better make sure people drink it. And he proceeds to get everybody plastered. And so obviously, they don't really circle back to that, but you're assuming that if everyone in the city's hungover, that they sold a lot of snake juice. And so Ron was like, hey, don't give up. In his own way, is like, this is like your small, this is like a little like plaque, a trophy, which I thought it was a really cool. It's not just this nice box. It was like, he's saying, keep going, like, you're going the right way. Which, and then down the road, spoilers and all that, but Ron does support Tom in multiple things. So he's not just, lip service, which I really like. I like that journey. Like, Ron helps Tom along the way. Especially that Tom starts to drop the whole baller act for the most part. And the more serious he gets, the more Ron supports him. So it's just, I don't know. Again, these are the things that I feel like makes Parks and Rec such a great show, because of the warm fuzzies of that human interaction. Yeah.
And Ron, like, he genuinely cares about the people he's working with.
Yeah.
And he may or may not have buried large amounts of gold around Pawnee.
It's true.
So that he is able to invest in these business opportunities as they come up. So,
yeah. Yes.
Ron is, every season we get a little bit more of evolution for Ron.
Yeah.
Which I think is great, because like, he's the character who I think is going to have the biggest transformation throughout the series. As far as like, from trying to be a loner to where he ends up.
Yeah.
And even at one point, spoiler, I'm sure people have already watched this, but like, we know that he's going to leave the park department eventually.
Yeah.
And he's going to start his own business.
Mm-hmm.
And like, he is, after like leaving the Parks Department, he actually goes to find another job in the government, in the federal government, before starting his own business, like, because he wants to be with people he likes. He wants to be with his friends who've all moved on. And so, so Ron, like, this is one more indication, like he's stood up for Leslie before, and like looked out for her, but now he's like starting to spread that out, like to say like, no, I care about all these people. And so, yeah, I love Ron. So many reasons to love Ron. And then the credit scene, the whole Parks Department is not doing their job because they need to listen to Crazy Ira and the Douche. There's never been a time in the history of humanity where it would be appropriate for a whole like department of any business, government agency, or anything to just stop and say, let's listen to Drive Time Radio today. Never. And so the Douche is telling about his interaction with Anne and her friend Leslie, and how they were fighting. And it's just totally, everything about this scene is just gross and inappropriate. And yeah. But what is most amazing is how quickly the audio drops are just deployed. Again, like the best part of that show is not Ira or the Douche, it's the production.
Right.
So yeah, so that's the fight. That's how it ends, with Tom really loving the morning show and everybody else just being like, what? So yeah, but great episode. So many things, so many fun moments throughout the whole thing. John Ralphio's rapping is just awesome. You like Big Ben clock, and so be a successful.
So, gotta stop on the rhyme.
It's like, I know what I gotta do.
I know. I hear it. Yeah. This Amy Poehler wrote this one.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
What else do we know about this one?
It was directed by Randall Einhorn.
Well, that's good.
I don't know who that is, but
he seems to be doing a great job.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There wasn't a lot of like trivia or anything like that. I just thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That Amy Poehler wrote it. She also wrote this is the second one that she wrote after Telethon. So
wow,
she's good at writing.
Yeah.
This is supposed to have
really
right after. Yeah, the road trip was right after this one. It aired back to back originally because their season started late, and so they doubled up, and these were 2 standalone episodes. Yeah. There you go.
The road trip. What is this? I can't remember now.
Isn't the road trip the one where they go to
yes, to Indianapolis. Right. Oh yeah.
Which is next.
Yeah.
Which is next.
That's the next episode.
Yeah.
This one is also good. So many good things in this show.
I know. Season 3 is starting to wrap up though.
Yeah, we're looking at episode 14. How many episodes are in this season? I'm going to open up the all episodes here. Whoa, that didn't work. That's not what I wanted. Oh, IMDb. Here we go. Here's the list. Season 3 has 16 episodes. So we have the road trip, the bubble, pivot, and then a Lil Sebastian episode.
Oh, is Pivot a 2-part one?
No.
Oh, you said bubble? Pivot and pivot.
I see what you did there. Oh man, I cannot fly a spaceship. See, the ratings on IMDb are frustrating. The bubble is 8.2. I can't. I mean, come on, guys. Come on, dudes. Yeah, I am always surprised how short the seasons are for Parks and Rec. It's like season 3 is only 16. Season 4 has 22. Like, what happened to season 3? Why is it only 16? Was that the writer's strike?
I think so, but I honestly don't know. But it had something to do with they started this season got started late, so that's why there was two episodes at this point when it originally aired.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I know.
All right. Well, good. Oh man, I'm just looking at episodes. I love the show. All right, we should be done. So, listener, if you have an email or you have a thought on this episode, then send us an email to parksandconversation@gmail.com, and we'd love to hear from you. And yeah, anything else, Jeremy, that people need to know?
No.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'm glad we solved that. Next week we'll be back talking about the road trip. Talk to you later, Jeremy.
Sounds good. Bye.